everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Catherine.
Here we are. This is one of my favorite nights, another favorite night of the week. Am I going to say 9 years?
We are in our 9th year. Yes. Isn't that incredible?
It is. It's absolutely amazing. It's so wonderful. I don't remember life. BGG. So I'll say hello to our audience. My name is Catherine Asaro Myers, affectionately known as Rara, and I like to walk into the room and say Rara is in the house. It lifts my spirits, just puts me in the right frame of mind. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And I am here with my amazing, wonderful partner of 9 years, my best friend. Who knew we were going to have this amazing relationship? Can you, I know you're doing the techie stuff. Do you have a few minutes?
Yes, I am Lori Delk-Radecki, and I am outside in Nashville, Tennessee.
Lori and I'll tell you a little bit of reference in case you're watching us for the first time tonight. I'll start the story, but Lori tells it so well. We met by accident. There are no coincidences. We met on stage in Salt Lake City, Utah. On our website, you'll actually see a video of the day that we met. You'll see the moment that was captured of our eyes and what happened and how we met one another. It was really quite magical. And it still is magical. Every time we have a show and I get to think about it, it brings me right back to that moment. And it's such a fine moment in my life, and I know it is in Lori's too, that it's great to relive it when you have something that means so much to you and it turns out to be something that you continue to live in a high vibration. Then I invite you to do the same. So maybe, Lori, you can tell a little bit about how we have our amazing female partnership, love at first sight.
Sure, yes. So like Catherine said, we met on stage. So Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards, and we're actually cross-lined to each other in that company. So what that means is we didn't know each other. But each year our company has a theme for the year. And at the international convention, they have an award for that theme. So back in 2013, the theme was gratitude. And so our CEO gets up on stage and he talks about all the stuff of this person, all their attributes and accolades of what they've accomplished, and announces Catherine. And so here I am, the techie person. I'm in the back, I'm doing video, I'm taking pictures so I can throw stuff on cards and send her congratulations. And then all of a sudden our CEO says, for the very first time ever, there's a tie. And so he starts giving all the information about the other person, and then he ended up calling my name. And so we're not prepared for it. Like some of the awards, you know what you're going to get, like if you achieve a certain level or whatever. But for this, you never know. So we were both awarded this in front of thousands of people, and we met on stage in front of all these people. So, and we both were like, you know, nothing happens for just coincidence. There's a reason for everything. And we just had that kind of love at first sight, like people do in relationships. But this was kind of like a business partnership, friendship, all that. And it's been an amazing 9 years.
You know, Lori, I think about the conversations that we've had over the years, and they're actually closer than some of the people that I, have been born into my family, or I've been born into their family, because we work at that. And I think gratitude is a really great reason to remember why you do something. So we were reminded and rewarded for the gratitude in our life with our friendship. And because we know if you ignore something, a plant, anything, it doesn't flourish. So what we decided to do was to continue to water, to nurture, and to grow the gratitude between us. And that's how we ended up right here, 9 years later, in our 9th year, speaking to amazing people like we have tonight and hearing their stories. And tonight we're going to hear a fantastic story. What would you like to do the introductions of our guests?
Sure, yes. So our guest tonight has been one of my good friends for many years. And also I ran events all over Nashville for a long time. And she was one of my top speakers. And now she actually helps running those events since I kind of stepped away and decided to go into retirement. But anyway, Megha Bradley, she is an amazing woman, an amazing mom, an amazing friend. You need to read her bio. She just has so many amazing attributes. You need to follow her on all the social. Her links are below the video. And Megha, welcome to the show.
Hit mute just in case a dog barked. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Megha, thank you so much for being here. What city are you from? Are you in right now?
Right now I'm in Nashville. Well, I'm in Murfreesboro, which is, slight spin-off from Nashville at this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So our audience those who are near to you or have someone in that town like Lori, they can relate. So Megha, can you tell us a little bit about your day today? Let's get to know you a little bit.
Ooh, my day today has been trying on the soul. Actually, it's been an amazing day. I've been committed to launching I have a program that starts next week. And meanwhile, I'm trying to get graphics done and all those things. My assistant is like waiting for me to give her stuff. And then meanwhile, I've also had 2 kids home because my son was coughing yesterday and I had to keep him home from school. And of course, take him to get a COVID test while I was waiting, with 2 quarantined children. So it's been a very long character building day, but I was committed that even though I stayed in my pajamas until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because I just never actually got back to the bedroom to deal with whatever happened with the kid at 8 o'clock this morning. That's how the day went, but I accomplished amazing things today. So
Megha, when they say a laptop lifestyle, we could say a pajama lifestyle and we still get things done. It doesn't matter what we're wearing. We're still able to work and take care of things and manage and navigate our day. It makes no difference if we're dressed up. Years ago, we had to leave the house. Now we don't have to put on shoes, right? It's amazing what we could get done.
True. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And we appreciate your commitment to being here with us. So let me ask you a little bit about public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
What can you share with our audience about being a speaker and a presenter and running the meetings that Lori was talking to you about? Do you have any type of secret or special habit, something that you weren't planning on telling anyone, but tonight we'd love for you to share it so everybody can write it down and do it?
I love the impromptu conversation is whatever shows up, right? That's actually the first tip I have is be in the space of allowing, not just in speaking, but really anywhere in life. But in the world of speaking, I think back to my days of rehearsing speeches when I was in high school, speech competitions and whatnot. And I think that sets sort of this precedent that speech has to be perfect and the presentation has to be perfect. And yet I have learned to trust divine guidance that the right words and the right people and the right circumstance show up. And sometimes you forget a line and sometimes you forget a whole bullet point. And if you just be in allowing and know that the words that you're given, and I always say a prayer before I speak, before I teach, before I lead, that I be given the right words and that they be given to the people who need to receive them. And that's my number one inside secret.
It's a wonderful insight. And Megha, if the truth be known, no one knows what you were going to say anyway. So if you forgot it bullet points, who's going to know?
Right.
Like, it's not like you're giving us a recipe and you're leaving a step out.
Right. It's so much easier that way.
Now, I don't know if we could say that if you were a chef or a cook show host and, giving us how to do something and say, oops, I just completely forgot that step. But like you said, be in the moment. Right. And we're looking at you, right? We're listening to what you have to say. Is there anything that you'd like to share about the healing part of what you do?
The healing part of what I do, I think that the most humbling part of it is that whether I work with someone, a lot of times, I'll work with people who, I could go from dichotomy of people who have net worths of millions of dollars, and I have people that have, are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent next month. And the human journey is the same. And that many times I think in the process of healing people, the unworthiness of love, the unworthiness of receiving blessings of, whether or not they deserve to have this, or will I ever have this, or chasing the wrong things. Like, it seems that it's perpetual, and it's not divided by any one particular status of society. And I think oftentimes if we were to ever truly become present to other human beings, we begin to realize that the status, the outer shell piece is really, it can look different, but oftentimes in healing, we come to understand that soul, peace, and grounding is exactly that. And if that doesn't exist, it doesn't matter what's material on the outside.
Is there something that you personally do for yourself? Maybe you don't have to give us all the details, but something you do personally for yourself to keep yourself grounded.
I pray every day. Oftentimes when I wake up in the morning, I try to stay away from my phone, but somehow or another, it's like I end up on my phone. But even if I end up on my phone, I end up in my notepad. And for me, writing is the thing. And I find that I can, write 200 or 300 words pretty simply with my thumbs. And whether I have a pen and paper, that's awesome too. But I write, and I will try not to speak to anyone, although that can be difficult with an 8-year-old pounding on the door. I try not to speak to anyone for the first half an hour of my day. So that my thoughts are all my own, and there's no interactions or energies from other people that affect me remembering and being fully present, so that when I start my day and create from that point, that I'm not starting with a lot of chaos.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Sometimes I do a voice text if I think I can speak faster than I can type.
Oh yeah, I should try that too.
Yeah. And that way I'm speaking, I'm hearing my voice, I'm hearing my thoughts, but I can't do like or oh, because it's going to type it out and I'll have to fix it. Right. So if I can just voice text that, it gets out there, and it's like, I don't have to do that. Am I typing the right word? I innately like misspelling, so I guess I've now made it my thing. Is there something that you would like to say? Oh, Lori probably has a question, so I'll just excuse myself for a moment. Lori, would you like to ask Megha a question?
Sure, yes. So few things I'll tell the audience. One thing about Megha too is, so the only time I've ever been fingerprinted, I actually had all done, because Megha does something else too that she can tell you a little bit more about that as well. And then, but also then, so a question, Megha, is obviously this is the Gratitude Girls show. So, and we know that you're so grateful for so many different things in your life, but if you could just pick one little story that you want to share with the world, we'd love to hear that.
I'm going to pick the story that's closest to you. And that is, thank you for creating the space that you did for us that we have here in Nashville, our networking community. And as a result of that, when we were all locked inside of our houses back in quarantine time, on one of those calls, you had me speak. And on one of those calls, my dearly beloved was on one of those calls. And one of the little Hollywood square boxes, and neither of us were looking, but we both lined up in the same spot in the same space, and you were the magnetic common point in that journey. So my gratitude to you. You're like the game, what is that, GOAT, whatever, greatest of all time, for being able to attract in mutual energy someone to the space that I apparently was divinely aligned to be with. So yeah, that's my gratitude story. It's a short one in the sense of it was about showing up and about being around the right people. So
yes, I remember when you sent me the text of you two, like, it's not public yet, but look. I was so excited.
Yeah, so huge gratitude for that.
And that's been a while ago too. It's been like, I know it's been over a year, hasn't it?
It's barreling towards, yeah, it's been a year and a half. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And there's something else, Lori, that you want Megha to tell us about?
Yeah, she does a unique thing. I'm not sure how much she does it anymore, but she did it for me, and it was incredible. And but yeah, so it was the only time I was ever fingerprinted, but she does that ink on all your hands, and I might not even be saying it right, but anyway, but just like what you did get at the police station, and then she reads them for you.
Oh,
yeah,
about that.
Yeah. People always like, I actually sometimes have clients whose like husbands are like police officers and like, what are you doing? And so I am a trained scientific hand analyst, not to be confused with a palm reader. Don't do anything predictive. But what we do is we look at the neuropsychology that shows up in the palms of your hands, as well as in your fingerprints, your fingertips. 7 billion people on the planet. No one's got the same prints. And we use that to help get people aligned with their life purpose and what they're supposed to be doing and how to more boldly step into it. And that's one of the greatest blessings I have, is that I get to use these tools to actually help people lean more confidently into who they are through the use of an interesting thing. You'd never think your hands show it, but your hands actually tell amazing stories, which is why we can also be used as profilers with the, CIA and the FBI, because we actually could literally take someone's handprint and tell you what their psychology is. So
is there a unique story about this part of your life that you could share with our audience?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Well, it's the story of how it all started in the sense that, well, actually, oh my God, there's so many stories. Well, it started because I was after I had a near-death experience in 2014. I had been anchored by my life purpose. I was the only reason I stayed alive after the car accident. And I was able to tether to my life purpose and knowing that I hadn't done what God had brought me here to do, and I wasn't going to die that day on the freeway. So as the life flight helicopter came in, and I said, I know what my purpose is. Now, I had used a different process to get there, but at the time I was like, I really want to, after I get out of the hospital and get back on with my life, I want to be able to do something that helps people have just unbreakable faith in where they're supposed to be going, how they're supposed to get there, because that's what saved me. And in 2015, I went to hear this woman speak, who ended up becoming my facilitator and trainer in this process. And I ran, it was one of those run to the back of the room before she even finished saying, I'm like, that's it, that's the thing. Because as she was telling us things from the stage, I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, that is true about my personality. And all these little lines can tell us things that show rage, they show gifts, they show all this stuff. And so as I came to understand, is that it ties to the DNA, which is, part of like this whole process of understanding that our DNA is driving the ship, not just our conscious memory, thoughts, and decisions. And as I began to understand all of that, I was so blessed to be able to take that and use it, because intuitively I knew so much when I worked with people, but I didn't have any articulated thing. And I wasn't about to go pull some tarot cards, and no offense if you happen to follow tarot cards and all that, it was just not my thing. And I wanted something more tangible. So this showed up. But a really quick story about one place where I had a really unique thing happen is I'll do festivals and parties and stuff like that, because it's sort of like a good circus trick. Like people were like, oh, show me your hand. But I had somebody come up and they would pay for like a little 10-minute reading. And this one guy, and there's a line in the hand that we have called the suicide line. And it literally is a particular suppression of rage or grief or depression, that the brain maps this marking in the hand. And if you have it, it means that you're having abysmal, deep depression. And I looked at his hand and I was like, gosh, total stranger, barely knew the guy's name. His wife is like standing off on the other side looking at some jewelry. And I said to him, have you ever just had a feeling like you're just not even sure you want to be here? And I was like, back to right words, right time. I'm like, I hope this is the right words at the right time. And as I said it, as tears go cascading down his cheeks. Now, again, pretty much total stranger. And he says, I haven't been able to tell anyone what I'm feeling. And in that moment, he started to sort of unpack all the stuff that he'd been holding in because he felt ashamed and he didn't have anybody to talk to and he didn't know where to go. And so when his wife came back, and she was like, "Oh, how's your reading?" And he told her right there, like, "I got some stuff to tell you. Like, I'm really struggling, and I did not even know how to tell you, but she apparently saw it in my hands." And now, so I've had that happen more than a few times. That people are like, "You gave me permission by you calling it out for me to actually talk about it."
Well, that is a very touching story, and I'm sure that there are people in the audience who are watching that will be able to relate to a moment where someone spoke to them and just gave them the permission to release that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Megha, we have
Somebody's life.
yeah, yes. Do you read your own?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And my kids.
It doesn't change, so it's always the same, right?
Nope. The fingertips never change. The fingertips come in at 14 weeks in utero and fade 3 days after death. The palms change and the fingerprint positions change, the finger positions change and the palms repattern. It takes about 6 months. So if you ever have a significant amount of personal development or a significant trauma or tragedy, it can repattern the hands, and your hand prints will literally change.
So if we were to look at our own hands, if someone's saying, "I have no idea what you're talking about," is there something that we can look at and you can just tell us one thing that we can know about it or show us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the thumb. It's easy when we're in these kinds of situations. So if you hold up your thumbs, and you'll notice that my thumbs are very, very low set. Some people have a higher thumb, like they couldn't really, if you tried to pull your thumb apart, you really couldn't get it down here. The thumb has what we call an angle of opposition. So when your thumb joins to your middle finger, the further away it is, the more out of the box of the thinker that you are, the more impossible it is for someone to keep you in the fences and tell you what to do. The closer it is that the thumb is higher on your hand with less distance in between, it typically means that you do better with smaller groups of people. It means that you tend to be better at following instructions and processes that are not yours, but other people's, better employees. So if you're ever hiring, usually, I speak in rooms full of entrepreneurs and we all like, our thumbs are practically hanging off our fingers. But if you want to hire someone good to follow your instructions and do what you're supposed to do, what you need them to do without coming up with a new way of doing it, get someone whose thumb is closer to their pointer finger.
Oh, so you mean closer to like when we hold our hand like this?
Yeah.
Like the thumb is up here as opposed to like whichever position you want to see?
Yeah, see, mine is very, very far and very far down. See the joint?
Yeah.
We all have these entrepreneur hands here.
Okay, so is that what you would say about?
Yeah,
okay.
But I have people that literally their thumb joint is literally like an inch
I
higher.
see. Mm-hmm.
So if your thumb joint is higher, you don't necessarily want to have a big team of people to manage because it takes a lot of your energy.
Okay.
But if you have big thumbprints like this, where there's a big gap between, you tend to be a really big idea thinker, and you tend to really just not, you don't necessarily listen to other people's instructions so well. You might take some suggestions, but
Okay, maybe not the best listener, but a better doer.
Yeah, and if your thumb is real flexible, like I have a flexible thumb. Some people have very rigid thumbs. If your thumbs are flexible, it means you kind of have a flexible way of approaching life and the world and the view of how you can navigate through different opinions and different circumstances. But if you have a very tough, rigid, stiff thumb, you tend to have a more straight, linear way of thinking.
Okay, those are two very interesting tips. I'm sure there'll be lots of people looking at other people's hands now. Let me see your thumbs.
Let me see your hands.
It's great. It's great for sales conversations. I spoke at Lori's group before, and it's great for a sales conversation. You know which angle to approach it from. So if you've got somebody with very, low set, flexible thumbs, you're having a conversation with them. You want to be like, "So what is it that you need?" And then you answer their question versus the other way, which is like, "Here's the thing I have for you."
Oh, thank you for that. I have some more questions that I'd like to come back to you with, but there's a part of our show where we like to actually give you sort of hand you over the mic, if you know what I mean. So it's impromptu, unrehearsed to our audience so that you know that. So Megha, if you have a question that you would like to ask Lori or Lori or I, please feel free to do that. We'll be happy to answer. And then we have a few more questions for you.
Okay, great. So my question actually is looking at the background of your stuff there. It says something about a marketing. Is it a designing toolkit or something like that for 2020?
Oh, it's so funny that I forgot I put that there. So, oh my gosh, you know what I did? First of all,
I love it.
I got that today. So what I did is I went on to Instagram and I saw something that I really liked on Chris Doe's Instagram. And I thought it was really cool information. So I took screenshots of it, and it's a designer toolkit for 2022. And I thought, well, it'll be in my phone, but I'm not going to be able to look at, I have 35,000 pictures in my phone. So I made myself these cards so that I would have the links to colors, photos, fonts, mock-ups, icons, and then illustrations, inspirations, and all of the websites and what it's for. And I thought I'll put it right here because this way I could just grab it and just look at it instead of searching. So I got this today along with Lori's card, which should have been in the front. And I just want to say, oh my gosh, Lori, I know this is personal, but what a gorgeous card. So I'm going to reverse these cards, but I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. I did that for myself so that I would have it at my fingertips. If ever I have 5 minutes, I'll look at the card, I'll type in the website, I'll go back to Instagram and look at it. I follow Chris Doe and all of his information. So thank you for asking. Yes, that's what that is.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Let's see, Lori, I have one for you. Do I have time to ask Lori a question?
Sure.
How's life going in the remodel zone?
It is going. We actually see a light at the end of the tunnel, finally. We are hoping to be in sometime next month, but we got all the insulation done this week, and our builder is now working on our front living room. I had big picture windows there. I'm sure you saw those posts or whatever. And we were paying extra to have them moved out about 2 feet. And then once he started that, I went over there and then I started visualizing, oh, this could be out like a half a decagon. And so I messaged my builder and I said, I know it's probably too late for this idea, but this is what I was seeing when I was over there. Well, him and his wife loved my idea. And so he said, as long as you're okay with it taking about a week to 10 days extra for this, because I'll have to, design it from scratch. He's like, I think it's a great idea. So I did. As much as I want to be in there right now, I was like, I think this will be amazing because then I can put my Christmas tree up in that spot, and I might do one of those, like my sister in Texas, she does the white Christmas tree and she like changes it for every holiday. She keeps it up all year long. So I might end up doing something like that, or, I don't know what I'll do, but.
Fun. Well, it's never too late to correct and continue. So
That's
awesome.
right.
Well, thank you, Megha. Thank you for those questions. It's nice to hear a question. We don't know what the question is going to be, and we don't know what the answer is going to be either. Is there something, I do have another question. Is there something that you would like to tell our audience, or perhaps your audience, right? The people that are listening to you, something about if they're in a position, if they're getting started with something, is there a piece of advice or something from your intellectual book, something from your services or your products that you would like to share?
Well, I have like I was telling you, I was rushing to finish the thing I'm teaching next week, which is around vibration and frequency. So the thing is that wherever you are, check your frequency. And what I mean by that is many times, especially if we look around in our collective consciousness right now, there's a lot of low vibe, a lot of low vibe energy. And it is our choice. And we have to be very diligent in it to protect our energy and to protect the radio frequency that we put out. And because, whatever that frequency is what we get tuned back to us. So whatever you're proceeding to do, especially if you run into any resistance or you start to, people will say to me, excuse me, I'm afraid to do something because I'm afraid I'm going to have, people criticize me, or, I'm afraid I'm going to get lots of negative feedback, or nobody wants what I have. And it's like, well, if that's what you believe, then guess what you're going to get back as affirmation, exactly what you're putting out in your frequency. So I strongly encourage you to really check in and notice your beliefs, because much of what we put out is beliefs. And then you have to watch your own, as they say, watch your own BS belief system. And because a lot of times it's not out there. The struggle is not out there. The 10 sales conversations you have that don't go well, it's not out there. It's a reflection of what is being radiated out. When you run into people who do not frequency, they don't tune to your frequency, they're not on the same bandwidth as you. You need to notice two things. Are they vibrating higher than you? Are they at a frequency where you're being negative and they're like, I'm not dealing with this? I had some people previously in my life that said to me, back before you healed a lot of your trauma wounds and a lot of your victim mentality, and sometimes the word victim shaming, I'm not talking about that, but like literally operating in victim mentality. They were like, I just couldn't get in a conversation with you. Like, it was just like, just no. And then they would come back and say, I love you and I loved your energy as a soul, as a person, but I just couldn't deal with what was coming out of your mouth. And so sometimes you need to take a look at rejection that's happening, especially if you admire someone or it's somebody that you're like, I would love to spend more time with them, but they never call me back, or, whatever it is. And say, check your own field and see if there's something that's incongruent. And so that goes for whatever you're doing in business. There's people who stand up and say, I'm so excited to sell, toilet paper. And you're like, no, you're not, whatever the thing is. And it's like, no, are you congruent and in alignment with the energy of the thing that you say you are wanting? Because if you're not, you ain't going to get it. You're going to get a lot of disappointment and a lot more validation of the thing that you actually believe. So
Megha, sorry.
Go ahead.
So when you recognize that you're out of alignment, what would you do?
I like to look at what I like to write, go back to the writing thing. What would I tell myself about this situation? I actually have a 30-day journaling thing that I'm doing right now, or that I'm running for some people. And, sometimes it just requires introspection. Ask yourself the question, what do I have to tell myself? What's get whispered through the pen on the paper? Maybe only your best girlfriend that would be willing to tell you. And that's the other place I go, is I have a very small sacred circle of people. I have run stuff by Lori. Lori's one of those people. You have to have people that that their vested interest is always in you being you and being well. They're not here to try to benefit from whatever the answer they give you. Right. So talking to, when I'm stuck in my own stuff, I literally will go to my people that are good BS radar people for me and go, can you check me here? And sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I don't know what you did there, but get yourself out of the ditch. Like, let's have a conversation. So either have a good self conversation or have relationships with a few solid souls who will tell you the truth, that you will not take it personally when they do.
Right. That's great advice. That's awesome advice. Lori, is there anything that you want to ask Megha? I was going to ask how people can communicate with her and reach her and social media with her.
Yes, we have all the links below the video. So everybody, you can click on the links, follow Megha. It will enhance your life. Let me tell you that for sure. And she's running, aren't you running a free clinic or something very soon also? So yeah, if you want to talk about that just for a second, that would be awesome too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so it starts next Monday. It's free. It's 1 hour a day, 12 o'clock Central Time. And it's called Visibility and Vibration. And it is about where we hide, why we hide. And ultimately, as I did the bit of the bookend, which is, what's your vibration how to elevate it. We're actually going to go into really the whole 5 days is about how do you raise yourself above the collective yuck that's on this planet right now, beyond the division, beyond the fear, beyond a lot of things that are mucking up the soup right now. And how do you become visible, whether it's in your community or whether it is within the realm of the mass, if you want to be a global speaker and speak at the UN, like wherever that visibility is for you, whether it's showing up in your family and being the one to show up and heal the things that have needed to be healed for generations within your family, like that's showing up, like what's your showing up and what's blocking that from happening. And so we're going to go through and do 5 days of me teaching. And it's really based off of doing hundreds and hundreds of healing sessions with people and coaching sessions. And the most common things that I tell people, because I finally was like, I got to stop telling one by one, because my personal life mission is to help transform lives of millions of people, to end cycles of generational abuse and poverty and limitation. And it's not going to happen by me being invisible. So part of me doing it is literally me doing exactly what I'm teaching. It's getting more visible.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Megha, it's really so great to speak with you. I feel like we could just keep talking, right? Just keep communicating, but I guess we can continue this vibration. How's the vibration that you have today here?
It's fabulous. Lovely. It's been a great blessing. And, I was so grateful for the opportunity to be here, and you guys have an amazing energy between you. I can feel the resonance and the groundedness. Obviously 9 years of collaboration and partnership, and part of my gifting is partnerships. I always look to build partnerships and relationships. So I'm always respectful and appreciative to see long-standing ones that shine. So thank you for having me in your circle and for sharing me with your tribe.
You're welcome. That becomes so much more sacred each year as it goes on, because you realize how valuable it really is. Year 1, it's valuable. And when you say we're in year 9, going to year 10, it becomes a treasure, and the treasure becomes even greater and bigger. So thank you for being here with us. Some of our audience tonight might be thinking, I want to be with Megha, or I want to get with her. So we'll post all of your links so our audience can get with you and that your audience can see you here tonight. But Lori, what happens if someone wants to get on the Gratitude Girls show? This is like too far out amazing. I love this part of our show. How does somebody get with us?
Yes, absolutely. So if you are interested in being on our show, send us your story, your gratitude story at facebook.com/gratitudegirls. Like our page there, and then hit message and send us your story. Make sure you leave us your contact information for us to get back with you. And we are booking, Catherine, 2023. 22 is done. We are sold out.
Yes.
And we are booking in 2023 now.
That's so beautiful. That's such an amazing thing. I mean, when I look at what I'm doing, I look at every month what we're doing. So you think about it, you say, well, what's 24 of anything? It's 2 years in our Gratitude Girls show life, right? So we're beyond 12. Well, we're into, I don't know, something like 15 shows. It's amazing when you look at something from a higher perspective, how it fills up. When you look at it from a smaller perspective, it feels like it's so big. This just feels like our world is growing. Our contacts our guests. They're coming from all over the world. Megha, thank you for being here. Lori, thank you for being my Gratitude Girls partner. It's beyond tickling me pink, because tickling pink was just something that I can envision, but it's truly an honor. And if somebody wants to maybe go a little bit further with us beyond our show, can we, I guess, tell them how they can hop on maybe one of our groups?
Yes, so we have a free group, Girls Who Practice Gratitude Every Day. So that's on Facebook. We also have a private coaching and training group. So you can ask us about that, or you can go to our website at gratitudegirls.com. You can see all the past shows there. Do searches for who you're looking for, what you're looking for, and then click on the coaching link if you want to know more information about that. And once again, if you want to be on our show, or if you know someone who would be a good person to be on our show, have them message us at Facebook. And we are here live the fourth Tuesday night of every single month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Megha. And thank you, Lori. To our audience, we couldn't do this without you.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Night.